Yeah, okay, time to live free. Plenty goals I'm achieving. Some real life topics and talking financial freedom. Mindset, soul and love, everything in between. This is Freedom Podcast. Tune in, live free. Hey, got my mindset right and I got the drive. Planning one day, no more job, no more 9 to 5. Love money, mine. Love money, mine. This is freedom. Tune in, cause it's going down. Woo!
Hi, this is Anna and welcome to another episode of Your Freedom Podcast. In this episode, we interview Sarita Davis. Sarita has experienced a lot of trauma throughout her life, starting at a very early age, and she's also had a profound understanding, insight and affinity of emotions and what makes people tick. She came across Bach flower remedies in 2008, following yet another death and bereavement in her family. She knew she'd found the thing she'd been searching for most of her life, something that can actually truly help rebalance people's emotions along with her listening skills. Sarita is a self-confessed concert junkie, music connoisseur and yogini, often admitting that plants, music and yoga saved her life. She's an inspiration and you are going to absolutely love this interview. Hi Sarita, great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And it's been great actually, because I know we connected a while ago now and it's taken us a bit of time to actually get on a call and kind of realise that we've got quite a lot of synergy. And I know that you've been working offline and online, and obviously through the pandemic that's brought its challenges. But I'm really curious to find out how did you end up being this Bach flower remedy practitioner,
yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
How did you end up getting to this point? Because I know you do some awesome stuff with your oils. But how did this all kind of come about?
Okay, so long story short, 2008, my grandmother died, and that was the last grandparent in my family to pass away. And I was in a horrible marriage at the time. I wasn't allowed to grieve at home. I was constantly told I'm making too much noise, making too much of a thing, be quiet, go downstairs and do your crying and blah, blah, blah. At the time, I was also running my own dog walking and doggy daycare business. Okay. So I spent a lot of time walking dogs in fields, but also a lot of time in the van and a lot of time on my own. So, you know, I somehow learned that when I could feel the wave of grief coming, to just hold it in, and as soon as I got in the van, just let it all out there. And very long story short, one day I was listening to a talk radio station, and a lady called in. It was a sort of women's hour, but not quite. And a lady called in and was talking about these drops of flowers that were making her feel better. And it kind of piqued my interest, because I've always been interested in nature and natural medicine and remedies. That's how I was brought up, being, you know, part Southeast Asian. That's what we do. But I'd never heard of flowers being able to assist your emotions. You know, it's always been herbs and spices and fruit and stuff. So I listened with great intent, wrote loads of things down, came home, got straight on the computer, and, you know, in those days, internet connection wasn't particularly great. So anyway, after some time, I found the Bach Centre and I found a course to go on. And I dragged my mum along and we went for a one-day introduction course, and it kind of blew my mind that really little drops of flower essence could actually assist with your emotions.
Yeah.
And because I had this massive pack of dogs as well, and the Bach flowers are fine to use on pets and also in your plants, I thought, this could be something I could add to the dog walking business, because I also did training as well. I did puppy training, security dog training. I did all sorts of things. So I went on to level 2 and got my box of remedies, spoke to all my clients, and I actually started treating the dogs first. And I saw the most amazing things happen with those dogs. And I thought, okay, well, there's no placebo effect with the animals, so it must work on humans. And eventually I started treating clients. I went on to level 3. That took about 2 years, because by then I was then getting divorced. that was interesting. So I kind of treated myself as a case study, and I also had 3 case studies. And I passed through my divorce, through all the horrors that went with that. I passed with flying colours. Obviously, I had to do a lot of reading, like stacks of books, you know, just went on, and you get to the end and it's like, right, now here's the next book. Oh, God, geez, okay. But it was amazing, and it made perfect sense to me. Dr. Bach's training, everything that he wanted you to learn about the human body, the emotions, how we store them, how it affects the physical health.
It probably was meant to be that you were going through that challenging time as you were doing, because obviously it was attracting you, wasn't it? Anyway.
Exactly. Exactly.
Funny how the subconscious works, you know what I mean? And definitely, because I reflect a lot on mine, and I think it probably gave you that positive focus, studying and, you know, like learning about all this stuff to distract what was the kind of negative that was going on in your life. Really.
Exactly. Exactly.
Positive strength through it. Like you say, you were like the first case study that.
Yeah, definitely.
I heard as well.
And
I heard it has helped animals. Someone else, I think, mentioned that. So did you use it with the dogs?
Yes.
You did?
Yes, definitely. And it became a little add-on. In those days, it was quite tricky because the way vets work and how you've got to be in cahoots with the vet, so to speak, so that they will allow, for want of a better word, their human clients to allow their dogs to be treated with natural remedies. It's all, you know, it's an industry, as we all know, health industry. Health industry, really, that's all it is. But yeah, I went on to just treat so many people and found it to be really the most amazing thing. And what Dr. Bach wanted was for everybody to be able to access these remedies, so that it, you know, in terms of like if they had a box at the end of every road, then if you were feeling, I don't know, loneliness or fear or nervousness or shyness or grief or something you don't like about yourself, you knew which remedy to go and get. You could just go treat yourself and off you go. But obviously, as we know, the powers that be work in a different way.
Yeah, exactly.
Hence why there are people like us, the practitioners. Yeah,
exactly. We on this podcast, we always focus, because it's called Your Freedom Podcast, we focus on 3 pillars: freedom in love, which is around self-care and self-love, which sort of, with what you're saying, really sort of fits into that box. Freedom financially, because I know if you're struggling financially, it's the worst. You know, money helps, you know, it's not all about money, but money does help you, especially with time freedom and things like that. And then mind, which sort of encompasses the whole thing, which again, with some of these remedies, I think that can really help.
Definitely.
For people that could be listening to this right now, because the whole reason we putting this podcast together was literally to help other people. Because when I was going through my darkest time, you sometimes feel like you're the only one going through it. Social media doesn't help. Everyone seems to be having these perfect lives, and called Facebook fake book. And we, even though we know it's not real, we still, there's a subconscious like, woe is me, that pops up now and again. But I think by sharing our stories, it kind of normalizes ours, whatever normal is, because I don't believe there is a normal. Me and my son have had lots of conversation about normal. But it makes us all realize that life isn't perfect. We all have different challenges. We don't know what's around the corner, but all we can do is kind of fill our own cups up and focus on our own self development as well as self-care to prepare for anything that's around the corner, really. And I know yesterday when we talked, I think when sometimes you have been through trauma, it actually has really prepared us for what's happened over the last 18 months, because I don't seem to really have any fear with what's been going on with them, because I've had, you know, been strangled and I've had major fear in front of my face. So for people that are listening to this right now that might be thinking, God, this sounds really interesting with the flowers and the you know, Bach remedies, from your experience of going through what you went through, and I know you went through quite a lot of grief, didn't you, with both your parents and your grandmother as well. and a divorce. You know, there's been a lot of things. Anything you want to share as regards to, I know we're going to talk about how you specifically can help people in a short while, but anything you just want to share as regards to tips of how to get through things, really?
I think, okay, so I can only speak for me and what I went through and how I helped myself, so to speak. I think just do what you feel is right in that moment. So there were a lot of people when my mum died 6 years ago, and that was the last member of my family. So I'm now the sole survivor of my whole family. There were a lot of people who were like, you've got to be busy and you've got to go back to work and you've got to do this and you've got to do that. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't leave the house. I didn't want to get washed. I didn't want to brush my hair. I didn't want to eat. I just wanted to be in my pit of sorrow and misery and darkness and feel it.
Yeah.
And for me, at that moment, it was right. And then the next day or the next week, if I woke up and thought, okay, sun's shining, maybe I should go out and do something, I would. And for me, it was just do whatever you feel is right in that moment. Because, with your emotions, there is no right or wrong.
Yeah.
There is no set rule book. It just is. So, if somebody shouts at you and you want to shout back because of your anger or your frustration or whatever, that was right for you at that moment. If when somebody dies, if you want to sit there laughing your head off for the next month, that's what feels right for you. No one can ever tell you that you are right or wrong in how you feel at that moment.
And so I 100% agree with that. I 100% agree, because I had talk therapy for 2 years, which seems quite a long time. And I actually kind of think everybody should have it. We have like people show off when they've got a personal trainer or they've got like a business coach. But if you've got someone that you talk to, like a therapist or a counsellor, it's like shameful, isn't it? And it's because of this word mental health. The word mental is like
I hate it.
Me and my counsellor have now become really good friends. I actually interviewed her on this podcast a few months ago, and we were talking about it then, that she said that she actually has a therapist because she sees it as self-development. She's always wanted to check it, wanting to grow, not seeing it as a negative. And one thing that I really learned from her, because I was somebody that always kind of put my emotions in this box and like saw that getting upset was a weakness. And she taught me to just allow myself to just be. And like you say, having those days where I was like, I ain't getting up, drop the boys off at school, come back to bed and be like, I ain't facing the world. And I think you have to go through that and not pretend that you're okay, because that is energy that you're storing in. And actually that's when you can have health problems. Me and her talks about this, that mental health and stress will come out in other ways. You might have really bad back pain, or you could have hair loss or other serious conditions because you're not allowing yourself to just be. So it's so important that we do allow ourselves and don't beat ourselves up for crying in our pillow or just allowing ourselves. There's no kind of, it's not a weakness, it's just getting it out, and just being. I totally agree with that.
And that was actually something I learned. I actually learned that from my mum, bless her. So my father was killed in a car crash when I was 3.5. She was a very young widow. And in those days, the doctor would give you Valium. So that you could sleep it off. But when my mum was diagnosed with her cancer in 2012, I started to really think from a batch point of view, what has she stored up that she's never released that's now caused this tumor to grow? And we sat and we did a lot of talking, and she actually told me a lot of stuff that she'd not told me as a child, and all the things that she went through as a little brown girl, being forced out of their home in India because of partition, then having to go to Holland and not knowing any Dutch but speaking English, and then staying there for a couple of years and then coming here and then not speaking any English because she'd been speaking Dutch for a couple of years, and being one of only a few brown girls at school in the early 50s, and all of the stuff that she went through. And quite a lot of the things that she said to me, it dawned on me, she stored this for all her life. And then having a little girl of 3.5 and saying goodbye to your husband in the morning, he never comes home, and the police turn up, all of that trauma and everything else that happened throughout her life, and not truly dealing with it because I have to keep going because Sarita, I have to keep going. But
yeah, exactly.
I realized that was my mum's thing. So I actually use her as an example now and just say to people, don't live your life in fear. Look what happened to mum. Speak. If you need to get something off your chest, find the person that you can speak to that will listen.
Exactly.
Don't find the person that will school you or
judge
tell you you're right or you're wrong, or find someone that can just listen so that you can unload. That once you unload, it's you'll get going in that rhythm of being able to unload, and you'll learn so much more about yourself and be able to deal with yourself.
Exactly. It's so right. And I think there is this, as humans, because I have it, I didn't want to go and see a counsellor. I only did because my cousin, who unfortunately went through baby loss at birth, had a counsellor, and she was like, seriously, and we're very similar, she was like, it really did me all good. So I was a bit like adaptive child, like, oh, okay, I'll go. And I walked in the room and there was 2 chairs and tissues in the middle. I thought, oh yeah, here we go. I was really like, kind of attitude. I was like forcing myself to do it because my cousin had said go. But yeah, then 2 years, I mean, it was all funded, luckily, for 2 years. I didn't unfortunately have to pay because it was through the police and the referral, but did really do me a world of good. And I just think anybody, if you ever get the opportunity to have any, even if it's through the NHS, so it's 6 weeks or whatever, it's just, I think it's quite nice when it's someone that doesn't actually know you as well. As I say, we've now become friends and we do know each other, but that fear of judgment or anything is taken away, isn't it? And you can just like offload on this person. But I think it's important to do it for our own health. And there is a lot of science research done around keeping things in and not letting it out as regards to having long-term health conditions. It can be really serious. I mean, I think regardless of whether people have been through trauma like me and you, just right now, everybody needs someone to talk to, because people are losing their jobs, people are fearing what's going on in the world and the governments and all that kind of stuff. And there's just so much fear and worry and stress, isn't there? And so if you don't, like you're saying, just find somebody. It doesn't always have to be an actual therapist or counsellor. You can just find someone that you feel comfortable to offload onto. And don't be scared to kind of just cry on your own, if you know what I mean, because that's done me so much good, like working on myself and knowing myself, and made me stronger in the long term. So
definitely. I remember when I was going through my divorce, I was also seeing a counsellor, and the first, I don't know, maybe 2, 3, 4 sessions with her, I would just go and sit, bawl my eyes out for an hour, talk for 20 minutes, and then that was that. Off I go. And I used to think, I just paid 150 quid just go and sit in somebody's living room and bawl my eyes out. But okay, what use is this going to do for me? But obviously it did me the world of good, and that's what I needed to do. And yeah, like you, we've become really good friends. The other thing that I meant to add earlier, sorry, with the batch flowers, was once I realized how amazing and how powerful they were, it kind of felt like you said, I finally found the thing that I had been looking for in my life, because I've kind of been a counsellor since I was a very small child. I've been one of those people that everyone has always come to.
It's so funny, same as me. Like
2 or 3 years old, everyone just comes, tells me their stuff, dumps it on me. Fine, I can deal with it, not a problem. But I always wanted to have a thing, something to just help them to get better, rather than just, okay, I'll listen. If you want some advice, I can give that to you. But I wanted to really help get to the root and deal with that, and that's why for me, when I found the Bach flowers, I was like, yeah, okay, everyone can come and talk to me, but now I can actually send them away with a bottle of remedies that I know it might not help in the first week or month, and it might take a few, but they will finally shed all the rubbish that they've just held on to for decades.
Yeah, exactly.
And they start to blossom. And that, for me, was the most amazing thing about them.
I think I really like that, because it's like we're conditioned, or a lot of people are conditioned, to go to the doctors and get medication, and that physical aspect of receiving something. So as well as like you say, as well as like being that listening ear, you're also giving them something to take away, but it's something natural. Because yeah, I'm a bit sort of anti-medications, but I just think it's really great what you're doing. Because I think I shared with you yesterday, with like before court hearings and things like that. It's just something that I did. It was mainly the thought was they always take my perfume off me, so at least if I have an oil, I smell nice. But I used to do the whole tapping stuff and just relax myself and just work on myself, just for like, even if it was just like a minute before I went in, and just deep breaths, and it just kind of put me in a better headspace, rather than being like nearly on the brink of tears before I was going in, you know. So I can definitely see how your kind of stuff would work. So tell us all the good stuff that you're doing this year, and where, like, how can people get hold of you, and what are the packages, or what do you do to help people right now?
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram at She Who Walks in Peace.
We'll put all the links. If anyone listening, have a look in the show notes, or have a look in the comment section on YouTube. We'll put all Sarita's links in there for you.
Thank you. The website for the Bach flowers is healingbachflowers.com. The email is info@healingbachflowers.com, and my phone number's on the website as well. If you're interested in the doTERRA essential oils, so they also work on the emotions.
Yeah.
But they also work on the physical stuff and spiritual stuff, etc., etc. Just use any of those three things. It's fine. I do have a website for that, but it's really long-winded. And I know you're going to put the link in, so that's fine.
But you also do mixes and blends, don't you? You were saying yesterday.
I do. So actually, earlier on this year, I've done a lot of rollerballs for people with hay fever.
Okay, fab.
Hay fever seems to have gone wild this year. I wonder why. Let's look at the sky and see what colour it is today. So yeah, hay fever rollerballs, I can make those for you.
Can they be used for children? Because my son has really bad hay fever.
Yeah, they can. So if I was to make one for a child, I would use less of the essential oils and more of the fractionated coconut oil, which is the carrier.
Yeah.
Just these oils are
strong,
so potent, and it's very, very pure. They're safe to ingest, as well as use topically, neat, as well as aromatically. And the same would be for somebody that's already health compromised, or somebody that's older. For myself, I'm literally like that every morning, just chucking things down me and on me and around me, and away we go. But yeah, I do classes for those. I prefer in person, because it's such a touchy-feely product, and I teach people how to use the oils as well for their physical stuff. And also it's the same as the Bach, but the other, it can be the other way around. So if you come to me with a physical issue, so mine was endometriosis, that's how I came across the oils. I knew it was emotional related, but I couldn't get to the root of that. So I thought, if I tackle it from the physical, then the emotional will get released, and that's what I did. And I'm not allowed to say the word cure, but I don't have any problems anymore.
That was great. I think what's great is that for people listening who could be even in different countries, they can still reach out to you and get some help. But obviously, if you're based in London, you can actually go and meet Sarita and have like a consultation or something like that. So it's great that you've offered loads of different things. So for people who,
and I'm happy to drive to wherever.
Yeah,
I couldn't come as far as you. Well, I probably could for a day trip.
Exactly.
But, you know, if somebody wants a consultation, we'll figure out a way around it. If you want to meet in person, we'll do that. Some people are more comfortable, if it's the bachelor hours, they want to speak somewhere quiet in their own home. Or I had one lady a couple of weeks ago, she was like, no, I want to leave my home and I want to come to you because it's just somewhere different. And, you know, I haven't got the kids running around. And some people prefer to meet in a cafe or the park or, you know, wherever. So it's doable. Or like this on Zoom. I've done loads on Zoom this year.
Yeah.
Although I love seeing people.
Yeah. I think we're all getting to that point where we're just like, you know what, I've had enough of Zoom. I want to actually meet people now. But it's good that you've got all those, you can help people in all those different ways. So that's great. So if anybody's curious or is like, you know what, this could really help me, do reach out to Sarita, and I will put all her details in the comment section and in the show notes. And she'll be able to help you with all of these sort of like healing things, or just being whether you've got different conditions or whether you just want to kind of relax more or sleep better, you know. I know
stop your mind going round and round, get rid of your fears, your anxieties.
Exactly.
Or even varicose veins or fungus on the toenail, you know, whatever your thing is, there isn't anything I've not heard of.
Yeah.
Physical or emotional. And if there is something I've not heard of, you want to see the amount of books I've got. So and I have a great network of other doTERRA and Bach therapists to tap into. So if there is a thing that nobody's heard of, I can tap in and I'll find a protocol for you.
It's like you mentioned that lady that you helped that had really bad migraines. I remember when I wasn't sleeping properly and I had like numerous court hearings, I used to get really bad headaches. It wasn't as bad as migraines, I think, because migraines can like literally just pull you down, can't they, and make you sick and everything. But just really bad headaches that just wouldn't go away. And I knew it was all stress. I was just like drinking all of this water, thinking, oh, I'm dehydrated. But I knew deep down it wasn't. And I created like a routine for myself at bedtime, and that always incorporated oils and things. I can just see how, if I'd only known you back then, it would have been amazing to help me. So anybody that's kind of going through anything, just reach out to Sarita. I'm sure there'll be some blend or some option for you.
Definitely, always.
Brilliant.
There's never a no.
Yeah.
There's many ways to skin a cat, and I'll find all the ways. So it's not a problem.
So I really appreciate your time. I always ask everybody at the end of the interview, because it's called Your Freedom Podcast. And it's funny, when I put together the podcast, I kept going away from the word freedom, because you see so many marketers online like, freedom in 90 days, you're going to be a millionaire. And I was like, I didn't want it to have that connotation. But because it's like recently talking about Freedom Day, I was like, that ain't Freedom Day. I remember my Freedom Day. Freedom just meant so much to me and my personal story that I just kept coming back to it. So what I've done at every interview is always ask everybody, what does freedom mean to you? So what does freedom mean to you, Sarita? Because it means lots of different things to different people.
Yeah. I mean, it does mean a lot of different things, but I think taking into consideration what's happened in the last year and a half and how people are behaving and how it's affected me. For me, freedom is just getting rid of everything that stops you being the best version of yourself that you're comfortable being.
I love that.
So whether that is, you know, maybe the first 3 months of lockdown last year, maybe you sat at home and thought, I don't really want to go back to my 9 to 5, but I have to because I pay the bills. Maybe you find another way of earning money that brings you joy. Or maybe this last year has taught you who your real friends are. Maybe you get rid of those people that no longer serve you. Maybe you actually just really enjoy being at home and listening to music all day long, which I'm guilty of. Do that, you know, whatever it is that brings out the best in yourself, that you are comfortable with and happy with, and you can look in the mirror and look at yourself and, yeah, I like you. I like who you are. You would be my friend. Do whatever it is to free what's stopping you becoming that person.
Yeah. There was a quote that I read years ago, and it was when I was going through loads of challenges, and it was, happiness is what you think, what you say, and what you do are all in harmony. Because at the time, I was thinking a lot of things, I was starting to say a lot of things, but I wasn't doing. Do you know what I mean? And you just triggered that thought in me then, because it's like removing everything around you so you can be the best version of yourself and just be content, isn't it, really? And that's what happiness is about. So yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. There is one other thing actually that's just popped up. And forget what everyone else thinks of you or what somebody might say, because that's one thing that, just going back some years to when my mum died, I was suddenly left, alone in this world, completely alone. I didn't have mum, I didn't have my counsellor, my therapist, my best friend, my everything, my go-to. There was nobody to bounce, so-and-so said this to me, what do you think? I couldn't do that anymore, so I had to do all of that for myself. And one, yes, it made me a lot stronger, but two, it made me confirm who I was to myself and quite literally not give a flying rat's ass what anyone thought about what I did, what I said, what I wore, where I went, what I ate, anything. And that's one of the blessings that's come from that trauma, is learning to really enjoy being me and sticking two fingers up at pretty much anyone that says they don't like whatever. Cool, no problem. You don't live my life.
Exactly.
Don't pay my bills. Don't live in my house.
It's definitely what holds people back. Like, I look on my whole journey and think it all happened for that one reason. Because I didn't want to leave because I was worried about my parents, his parents, which is ridiculous. I look back on that, I think it's ridiculous. Another thing that I'll be really honest about is that my children are mixed race, and I didn't want to be a white woman with two mixed race children, because I was proud that I was married to this black guy and wasn't someone who was a single parent. It's just so ridiculous, because that's society stereotypes.
Yeah.
And that was stopping me for so long. And I just think, God, I was being unhappy for that reason. And that was it was all about what other people thought about me, because people used to prejudge me and say, are you married? And then I'd say, yeah. They're, oh, are you? Like, they assumed I wasn't. So I used to be proud of it. It's so fucking ridiculous. And then all the stuff with like police outside my house was so ashamed, as outside the school. But then going through all of that has now made me really not care at all. I mean, I think if someone was sending me hate messages, it probably would bother me. I'd block them. But someone targeting you, it's going to affect you a little bit. But generally, I'm not bothered about what anyone thinks about me. I'm so like content in my own world and my life, and that I'm free and happy. But I look back at myself, and I like to be open and honest about it all, because I just think, I can't believe all those thoughts used to go through my head that were preventing me. And it was the fear of what people thought, that I'd be a failure and all these different things. It's like, all those people are insignificant, aren't they? And whether you start...
And where are they now?
Exactly.
Where are those people now?
Whether you start an online business, whether you're leaving an unhappy marriage, whether you're going through grief or you've got a health condition, there's always all this fear that goes around your head. And I think what's great about what you shared today is all of these it's all about focusing on you, isn't it? And self-care, self-love with the Bach flower remedies, I think. So anybody that is listening to this that thinks, wow, this is amazing, do reach out to Sarita. We'll put all her links in the comments. I really value your time. I feel like I could talk to you for hours. I feel like we've got so much synergy. It'd be great to actually meet up. Next time I'm going to see my cousin in London, I will give you a holler and see where you're at, and we'll meet up or something.
That would be lovely.
But definitely stay in touch with you, because it's been great, and really appreciate you sharing everything on our show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Sarita. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Your Freedom Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes and subscribe on my YouTube channel. And if you want to get more freedom in your life, then come and join Your Freedom Project Facebook group, which the link is below in the comments section. And I am giving you a copy of my visualization manifesting book. So manifest more freedom in your life and live the life of your dreams.
Hey, thank you for listening. Hope you had a blast. Here to elevate your life. It's the Freedom Podcast. Love, money, mind. Love, money, mind. Wanna see you all win. Wanna see you all shine. Just make sure that you subscribe. Bringing good vibes. Join the Facebook group. Now it's time to change your life. Hope you come back. Right now is the chance. This is an experience. It's the Freedom Podcast. Hey.